So many people tell me there's nowhere to charge your car. Here we are in the centre of Chester, massive historic town, shopping centre and everything. And we're in a multi-storey car park, and behind me you can see some of the chargers. This one is number 13 and that's number 14 I'm parked in. When we walk round, there's a total of 40 EV chargers in a multi-storey car park. So while you go and do some shopping and have your lunch, you're sorted. I'm Dave. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. Find us today here in Chester, Newmarket multi-storey car park. The first stage, obviously, is you need to find your charging bay. Huge selection here, so we don't have any problem there. We've pulled into one here. I've deliberately pulled into the wrong side. Charger's on the right. My charging port is on the left because we do have plenty of cable, and this is just to show it's not an issue. So let's go through the stages of charging your car in an EV charger in a multi-storey car park in the centre of Chester. So first stage, I need to go round. My port is on the left-hand side. So I could stretch across to that one, but that would take up this bay, so I'm going to plug into that one. Now the first thing I need is my charging cable. These come with the car. You'll have two ends. One of them is suitable for your charger socket, and the other one is suitable for the charger. They are different sizes. You can't mix and match. So if you try and put the wrong one in, it won't film. Now, before we charge, I'm going to do one very important thing, and that is read the instructions. How many people don't? So it says here, EV charging instructions, simply plug into vehicle and charge it. So that's the first stage. Scan or code above socket. So there'll be there we go. There's a QR sign above the socket. Select your payment type and then swipe to start the charge. So that's what we're going to do. So first stage then, you can tell how often I use this. It's got a little bit of a kink in it there. So the first stage, we need to open the charger port. We can do it either from an app or we can do it from the car. Let's do it from the car. So there we go. The charger port has opened. Now I did say we had two plugs. One works, one doesn't. That one works for the car end. Clicks on to say it's locked. So we now need to just come across here and we open up this one and we plug in that end. Now I'm told that all we need to do now is scan the QR code. I haven't got mobile signal here. There we go. So I've opened up the app. It says monitor EV charging open. So I'm opening it up. So I'm going to sit in the car. I want to plug the phone in. Okay, so we have, yes, it's recognised here, 53 pence per kilowatt hour. That's not a bad rate. Accept the terms and conditions, continue to payment. Enter my email address. Okay, and now continue to payment. Apple Pay, that's what I'm going to use for this one. Slide to start. Here we go. It now asks me, I've got fingerprint recognition on this, so producing the, authorizing the payment. Probably because the weak signal I get. Wi-Fi, the mobile phone signal. I've lost it. It's gone. I suppose it could be a good video about how bad it is if you haven't got a decent mobile phone signal. I've lost it. Gonna have to scan it again. Should have had my phone plugged in beforehand. Apple Pay. Right, so it's now processing the payment. This might be a good lesson Because if you have to pay by an app or by Apple Pay and you have no mobile phone signal or Wi-Fi signal, you can't actually charge here. I'm finding this a real struggle. This is taking far longer than it normally would. It does seem to be working, but this could be a real issue. It failed. I've had to try and launch Apple Pay again. Oh, done. Okay. So it's taken a while, but it's now done. It's saying charge started at 12:13, estimated completion 15:23. So let me just run through what's happened. Pulled up, read the instructions, plugged the car in, plugged in there, scanned the QR code, but the internet here, I don't know if it's my phone or whether it's the signal, but the internet here is appallingly bad. And I found it crashed out on the first time trying to load the app. So I redid it, rescanned it, loaded. This time the app loaded totally. It allowed me to go to the next stage, which is put your email address in and then select your payment method. I selected, in this case, Apple Pay, which is all built into the phone. So all I did was selected Apple Pay, put my thumb on for the fingerprint confirmation, and it crashed out saying failed. Just did exactly the same again, but I had to go back and scan another QR code, start the whole process again, because it doesn't put an app on your phone. And this time the Apple Pay succeeded, and I have initiated a charge. It's very interesting to see it is charging. That is true. And I've also noticed on the mileage, the miles are going up. But on the main display, it is not showing as charging. So if I look on the display, it says it's not charging. When I look at the miles, they are ticking up. Interesting also, it gives me a readout of what power I'm getting or have had. It gives me a time I started the charge and a time it estimates I'll finish the charge. I would normally at this point announce what power these are, but because my car isn't showing as charging, I can't actually tell you. I'm going to have a look on the app in just a moment and see if that gives me any further information. But not a brilliant experience. However, it's 53 pence a kilowatt hour. If these are 11 kilowatt chargers, that'll be a really good rate because it'll be a nice fast charge and a sensible price. If these are 7 or 3.5 kilowatts, different story. So I'm just going to go around, have a look at the app and see if that tells me anything about the charging speed. I'll check on the display again. Yeah, the dashboard display shows it's charging. It says it's charging. There's nothing on the main display, which is normally where I get the picture with the speeds. The speeds are showing up now. And what I'm getting is, let me read this out to you. I'll get a photograph of this. It's showing that I'm charging at 30 miles an hour. I've got 16 amps. So these are 11 kilowatts. Now, they could be more than 11 kilowatts. My car onboard charger is capped at 11 kilowatts. So if I plug into a 22, I'll only get 11. But these are showing 16 amps out of 16. So it indicates to me that these are rated at 11 kilowatts and they are giving 11 kilowatts. 30 miles an hour, I got 21 miles an hour when I'm plugged into a 7 kilowatt. I'm getting 30 here, which is about 11 kilowatts. So the car's maxed out on AC at 11 kilowatts. I'm getting 11 kilowatts. It's giving me 2 hours, 55 minutes to go up to my 80% state of charge. Now, let's have a look on the app, on this. This says I've had 0.8 kilowatt hours so far. This one says I started charging at 12:13 and it'll finish at 15:23. So this one is saying 3 hours and 10 minutes. My car's saying 2 hours, 55 minutes. So 2 or 3 hours. Now, what does 2 or 3 hours mean? Well, why are you coming to Chester? Let's imagine you're coming for a shopping trip. There are very few shopping trips less than 2 or 3 hours, if my wife is anything to go by. Probably more, 4, 5 or 6 hours, but that's another story. If you're coming for a lunch, you're going to be a couple of hours. You're going to park, you're going to walk, have a look at a few shops, go and get your lunch. that will probably take an hour and come back. So you get a good 2 hours here. I'm getting 30 miles per hour plugged in. And that means if I'm here 2 or 3 hours, I can get 60 to 100 miles added to the range while I'm having lunch, or I can get 150 miles while I'm shopping, or 350 miles while my wife's shopping. Depends which way you look at it. So these are actually quite useful. I had a look last night. I was doing some research into Manchester. Public charging in Manchester, they have a similar arrangement. Here we have 40 11 kilowatt chargers, type 2. Bring your own cable. They don't supply a cable. And in Manchester, these are up at 79 and 85 pence for type 2 11 kilowatt chargers. Here, Chester, very popular shopping centre, 53p. So congratulations, Chester, on the price. This is quite a good price. I'd like it to be a lot cheaper, but this is quite a good price. Massive of chargers, plenty of them free. We're here midday on a Thursday, and it's the chargers are pretty much deserted. Big signage everywhere, charging only. If you park in a charging bay and you're not charging, you will get hammered. You will get penalised. They're very keen on that. It says there, if a vehicle is seen connected but no charging sessions being activated, a penalty will be issued. So not only can you not park here if you're not an EV, if you think you can park here and not charge, you can't, because they will monitor it. How do they monitor it? Well, it's just a quick walk past. That's not being used, that's being used. So they turn blue, that's outside. So they turn blue when you're charging. So if you have a traffic warden or car park manager, whatever you call them these days, and they just walk up the road, there's one down there which we can see, there's one here. You can see as you walk past whether they're charging or not. If they're not charging, you get a penalty. And I think that's good. It means ICE cars can't ice these chargers, you'll get a penalty, and EVs can't use them as a supplementary parking space because unless you're charging, you'll get a penalty. So, car's just over there. So what have we got? Well, immediately we step out to the car park, we're into a nice little plaza. We've got places, restaurants, cafes around, lovely menus, plainly advertised. A lot of work going on at the moment, so there's more happening here. But this is a lovely area. Just over there, we've got a picture house, cinema, 6-screen cinema. So here again, you can go and plug your car in, go and watch a film while it's charging. Good news, there's a lot of options. Behind us, we've got Chester Market, which include things like Turtle Bay. So there's an awful lot going on here at the moment. So we haven't stepped more than 20 yards from the car park, and already there's plenty to do. If you're just coming out for lunch, maybe one of these places is the one for you. I get more comments from people who can't charge at home than people who can. And the figures say the opposite, that 80% of people can and do charge at home. However, you are a very large minority. So just while I was here in Chester doing some shopping, went for a cup of coffee, and we plugged the car in, I noticed on the payment board, it actually says arrivals after 6 o'clock, before 7 a.m. in the morning, £4. It also says it's open from 6 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. So overnight it's charged, it's locked up. So although you can leave your car here till the morning, it is locked up and secure. Now, why is that important? Well, we can charge over there at 53 pence per kilowatt hour. And that's quite a good rate compared to some of the ones I've seen. If you are prepared to pay an extra £4, you can park your car here the night before with 0% battery in it, state of charge. You can plug it in overnight and you come back in the morning. Do this 1 day a week. We're not talking about every day. Get that out of your head. We're talking about 1 day a week. You come here, you park your car in one of the chargers, you plug it in, and then you walk away. Come 1:30 in the morning, the place will lock up. You can't get it back again until it reopens at 6:30 the next morning. But if you come down here 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, your car will be fully charged. You will have paid £4 for the overnight parking session, and you will have paid whatever it is for the charging. If you add the two together, you'll find that that is actually quite a cheap rate. It's a very secure place to leave your car overnight. Problem solved for some people who live nearby a lock-up multi-storey car park. Not for everyone, but we're here giving you ideas. And if you can charge at just 53 pence a kilowatt hour. If your car does 4 miles per kilowatt hour, don't forget that's about 13 pence per kilowatt per mile that you drive, which is a good rate compared to petrol, 18 to 21p. And if you add in the £4 and you've added 200 miles, it's 5p a mile, so it only takes you up to 18, so it's still competitive with petrol cars. Just a thought. Now, I am going to explore this. I've not been there yet, but in Manchester, there are a couple of multi-storey car parks which on ZapMap state that the charges are free. Now, this is really interesting because if they are free, you can come here at 6 o'clock in the evening, go there at 6 o'clock in the evening, plug your car in for free, pay your £4, come back the next morning, pick up your car. You have filled your tank for £4, your battery. So what that means, if you've got 200 miles of range out of it overnight, you've gone right up to 100% because it's free, and all you've paid is £4, you're looking at just a couple of pence, 4 or 5 pence per mile driving. That is competitive with people who charge at home at 7.5p. That could be an answer for some people. So in a future video, you need to subscribe, please. Click the notification bell so that when this is launched, we can notify you. But I will be visiting Manchester shortly. I will find out exactly what's going on with these multi-storey car parks and see if I can find one where you can charge totally free of charge and all you pay is £4. So we just arrived back at the car. We've been charging for just over an hour. We went and had a look around the shops and we had a nice cup of coffee. I didn't have a cream cake this time. More about that later. Anyway, we've got back here. We've now got 132 miles in total. So we compare that to what we started with. We're still charging at the moment, so we haven't interrupted anything. Now, when we look at the notice, which says vehicles must be charging or connected, and if you're connected but no charging session has been activated, a penalty will be issued. If you leave your car here and while you're away it reaches 100%, it will stop charging. Batteries can't charge beyond 100%. So what we have to ask, and we'll be getting in touch with Chester about this, is what happens if your car is charging, stops charging while you're away, and when the warden or the manager walks past it, he sees the car not charging. If you can prove you've had a session, you should be free from any penalty. If you can't prove you had a session, you'll probably get fined. We're going to check that up anyhow. So for the moment, what we're going to do, we're going to simulate this, see what happens in terms of the light. So at the moment, green means it's vacant, blue means it's charging. So from my app, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reset the state of charge limit. It's on about 80% at the moment. We'll take it down to 40. Okay, so it's now saying we've already got a full battery compared to what I've set. So at this point, it's still charging. And it's interesting to note that the rate we're getting is up to 34 miles per hour. And that's a really good rate. It's a very good rate for a Type 2 charger. So my car is now telling the charger that we don't want any more. We've reached the limit. And you can stop. So let's see what happens when the signal does it. We're doing this in real time, so it might take a minute, but we're going to stick with it because this is what will happen when your car finishes. Does it stay on blue to say you finished your charge, but you had a charging session, in which case a warden or a manager would not be able to fine you a penalty, or does it go green and say you're not charging? Let's wait and see. Just out of interest, it does say here 3 lights. Green is ready, blue is charging, and red is a fault. So we're assuming that when this picks up that it's reached its charge limit, this is going to go either green, oh, something's clicking. It's either going to go green or it'll go red, we don't know. Could stay on blue, and then the charge will drop down to 0. Let's just see how much the communication is between the car and here. But it's interesting to note there is an app. You can tap with an NFC, near field contact. These you'd have to order from the charger in advance, and you get them through the post, little RFID type cards, and you could tap that one. There is also mention about being able to pay by contactless. We haven't tried that here. We've just used Apple Pay for this particular one. Okay, now my car is reporting charge limit complete. So my car is finished. There's no more charge going into it. It says 41 mile added during the last charging session. This is still plugged in, it's still showing blue. Now, if that remains, we're going to stay here another minute or so, so sorry for being boring, but this is quite important. If the, in fact, let's have a look at the charging port. So my charging port is no longer, oh yes, it is flashing green, showing green. And that one's gone green. Okay, well, there's your answer. When they finish charging, whatever charge limit you've set, they switch off, the car switches off, the charger switches off, and the light goes back to green. Now, at this point, I have a record which says I've had a charging session here and how much I paid and how many kilowatt hours I got. And therefore, I can prove I had a charging session. So if I did get a penalty notice, I'd just send them proof I was here and charged and explain the situation. But we need to check they'll accept that. In the meantime, let's go through the procedure for finishing a charge. So it's added 41 miles. First thing we need to do, that end doesn't lock, this end does, so we need to unlock the charging port. So at this point, unlocks, and oh, I need to open the car. It won't let me unlock unless the car's unlocked. And it won't let me unlock at all. Oh, it did. Just a bit stiff. Okay, so that's the first stage. Cover goes back on. Close the charging port. Gather up the cable. Unplug this end. That one never locks, by the way, so you can't get confused on that. I'm just going to take a minute to properly coil this up. So look after your cables. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, this is a Menekes, and this is a Type 2 charger plug and socket. These are world famous, so it's not unique to this car park. These are world famous. It's a universal standard. So what we're going to do here, let's get that back a little bit neater. And if you look after your cables, you probably won't have to do this very often. But because of the number of times I charge, I do have a habit of just throwing the cable in sometimes, and it always comes back to bite me. So don't do that. So let's put the charger cable away. And that's the end of the charging session. So I'm going to make one final request. I'm going to go to Chester and ask them about if they come and find out the car is green, but it has taken a charge, will they issue a penalty? But other than that, and a bit of a slow start, but that was almost entirely down to my mobile phone. Signal's rubbish. I find everywhere I go, it's pretty bad signal. So I think it's maybe time for a new one. So what I'm going to do now, unplugged, I'm going to go over, pay for the session. We're here about an hour. And then we're going to set off to our next destination. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Well, thanks very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe and click the notification bell so we can notify you next time we launch a video. And a massive thank you to all our Patreon supporters. It is your support that enables us to go out and make these videos for you. So thank you very much for your contribution. I'm Dave.